Welcome to the 1991 ALBERT Reunion. This is the fourth in a series of major ALBERT reunions that we have had. The first was in 1975 in the house of Tito Tony Albert in Cordillera, Quezon City. The second was in 1986 in Makati Skyline, and the last was in 1987 in the Hills residence in San Juan. We had the honor of having Tita Nits, Albert Velez, trace for us our family roots. And now, I'd like to present Tita Nits Velez.
Hi, I'm Ninita Albert Velez, otherwise known as the mother of Bobong Velez, your host for today. Unfortunately, we can only trace our roots as far back as the first Mariano Albert, who married Ruperta Mayoralgo. If only our grandparents and their own grandparents had taken the trouble of recording something, then we would have perhaps been able to trace it all the way back to the Chinaman from whom we are supposed to have been descended. He was supposed to be, Chinaman was supposed to be our first ancestor. Anyway, it's very lucky that we found a picture, a family picture of Ruperta Mayoralgo and her children and some grandchildren, and we will show this to you to help you visualize the different children and their children's children. We'll start off with Jose Albert, who was married to Dolores Casanova. For today, they are the white code. They had Carmen Albert, who was married to Arsenio Luz, and they only had one daughter, Carmencita Herlihy. Then, Consuelo Albert married to Juan Chuidian, who had 11 children. Juan Jr., Mary Rose, Consuelo, Eduardo, Cristina, Manuel, Lorenzo, Ramon, Teresita, Remedios, and Jose. The third daughter was Natividad, married to Lorenzo Calvo. And they had two children, Rafael and Jose.
I'm Consuelo Chuidian Pimentel, named after my mother, who was one of the three daughters of Dr. Jose Albert, who was the oldest of the Albert boys, and a very good doctor, pediatric doctor, and he was the head of the pediatric department of PGH. And he is now in the Hall of Fame in UST, being so famous in his line. Being the oldest, I hear that he was pretty strict with every member of his family, not only with my mother, but also with the children of his brothers. He was always looking after them, and his sisters, one of them, he didn't allow her to get married, and I think he had the last say on everything.
Now we go on to Alejandro Albert, who married Ignacia Bustamante. These are the ones in green. They had three boys. Mariano, who was married to Natividad Lugban, and they had 8 children. Maria Marta, Carlos, Alejandro, Stella, Mariano Jr., Lourdes, that's me, Justo, and Teresita Locsin. Then we have Angel Albert, who was married to Paulina Torres. And they had 6 children. That's Manuel, Elena, Angeles, Victoria, Angel, and Corazon Santos. The third son was Francisco Albert, who had 3 wives. The first wife was Rosario Jurado, and they had 1 son. That's Francisco Jr. The second wife was Socorro Ochoa. They too had only 1 child, and this is Ignacia Albert. The third wife was Gregoria Montemayor, and they produced 3 children then. 1 boy, that's Gonzalo, and 2 girls, Asuncion and Alexandra.
I'm Titos Albert Reyes, and I'm the eldest granddaughter of Alejandro Albert. I'm the only great-granddaughter who saw our great-grandmother, Ruperta Mayoralgo. In a case of history repeating itself, my grandmother Ignacia did promise Manuel Quezon, who at the time lived with them and was like a son to them, that her first grandchild would be his godson. But my mother, Lola Nena, objected. So Lola Ignacia told Quezon that being a girl, it was not giving him any honor to be the godfather. So when Manolin was born, he became the godson of Quezon. Not many of you know that Lolo Nano and Lola Nera were godbrother and sister. Lolo Justo of Bulugban was the godfather of Lolo Nano. My daughter Letty and her husband Peping are also godbrother and sister, as I'm the ninang of Peping Laurel.
I'm Tessie Albert Locsin, married to one of the 17 Locsins from Silay. I am the youngest of 8 children. We were 4 boys and 4 girls. 4 boys all gone. Only girls alive. Of the 4 girls, 3 of them happened to kill their husbands. I'm the only one who's still stuck with one. So what else can I tell you? Except that Bobong maybe, I haven't talked to him yet, but maybe Bobong is going to give a prize to whoever can tell us the reason why our great-grandmother, Ruperta Mayoralgo, Lola Petang, never changed her name, even if she married the first Mariano Albert and a certain Rica Fort. But she still maintained her name, Ruperta Mayoralgo. Why, we don't know, unless she happened to be the first of the women's lead.
Well, my real name is Corazon, but I'm better known as Pong in the family. And I got this nickname through my dear cousin, Boy Albert, who said that I used to look like a hapong, or a Japanese doll. So everybody calls me Pong. Well, my father is the second son of the Albert family. He was Angel Albert. Unfortunately, he's not very well known because he died at the very early age of 33. And he died of the family traditional whatever that's been in the family, and it's still in the family for so many years. My father had 6 children, 2 boys and 4 girls. The only ones left now are the 2 eldest, and I am the youngest. The 3 in between have already passed away. And probably what makes one of them very famous is the fact that his daughter is Joey Albert, who is very well known now in the musical world. The famous Joey Albert. Okay, I remember living in Surbaran. This was a big, big, big house, I think in about 1,000 square meters of land. It was a 2-story place, and on the 2nd floor was my grandfather, Lolo Alejandro, and his 2nd wife, because I cannot remember his first wife, our real Lola. She died also at a very early age. They had this big room, and our room was next to theirs. And it was really like a dorm. There were about 6 beds, 1 for each of us, because that's my mother and 6 of us. Then the other big room was Chupaquito, and the time that I can remember now is his 3rd wife. Chupaquito was married 3 times. And then at the ground floor was Chumarianing, Chanena, and his entire brood. And of course, the entire brood consisted of 8 children from Titos all the way down to Tessie Albert. And we used to have fun because there were 18 of us grandchildren under the same roof. And I guess that's really a very, very big family, isn't it?
Since I was very close to my grandfather, I was the favorite. When we used to have lunch, there were 2 big round tables, 10 each table. But in the big table, it was only Titos and me with the Papa, Mama, Lolo, Lola, and the other Mama. Then the other table were the middle children. And then in the pasamano were the rest of the bulilits who would get only the neck of the chicken or the chicken feet, because all of us, the first good portions were served here, the breast, then here the one with the bones already, and then the rest here, na malas na lang sila. So that's the way it was. And we had so many servants. And then, of course, the wives used to quarrel. Tianena would quarrel with my stepmother, and Chapoleng would quarrel with because Tianena was the one who was the one who bought the food and arranged everything. So, ang daming away. But every Christmas, we would all gather together, and everybody would cry, and then they'll make up and kiss again. Then, about the first week of January, fight again.
The third child was Asuncion, and she did not marry, so she has no progeny. The next one is Purificacion Albert, the ones who are encoded in pink or red. She had one son, that's Ruperto Mayoralgo, who was married to Vicenta Alcorda. They had 4 children, Ramon, Mariano, Juan, and Antonio.
I was made an orphan very early in life, and I grew up with my widowed mother, who never remarried. As a consequence, I had lived with other people while I was growing up. First, I lived with my tiyakayang, who is a half-sister of my mother, in Maysik, in Binondo, where I stayed until I got through 6th grade. Thereafter, I was taken over by Tio Vicente, Tony's father, and I stayed with them wherever they moved, all the way through college. After college, I started to work immediately, and that type of work that I was engaged in took me to different places in the Philippines, staying in Bacolod, in Cebu, in Dagupan, for years. Perhaps this is the reason why I am somewhat of a stranger with the rest of the Albert clan. And in 1940, I was sent to New York to become a resident buyer, where the war caught me. I enlisted in the U.S. Army and returned in the Philippines during liberation, after which I was returned to America. That gives you an idea why I am somewhat of a stranger among my relations.
Now we come to the last of the children. They are now in blue. These are the ones in blue. That's Vicente Albert, who also married 3 times. With the first wife, Petronila Main, they had Antonio, who's married to Teresa Raneta, and they have 6 children, Ramon, Jose, Teresa, Consuelo, Antonio Jr., and Carmen Afable. The second was Jose Albert, married to Rosalia Riva, and they had 5 children, Jose Albert Jr., Cristina Lytle, Cherito Razon, Petronila Yam, and Rosie Florentino. The third son was Luis Albert. He had 3 children, Vicente, Esperanza, and Luisa. Then comes Enrique Albert, married to Cora Lesaca. They had 4 children, Chita, Nati, Eddie, and Victor. From the second wife, Abelina Osma, they only had 1 son. That's Rafael Albert, who was married to Januaria Viterbo. They had 8 children, Patricia, Rafael, Aurora, Enrique, Adela, Alice, Joaquin, Richard, and Benjamin. His third wife was Adela Riva. But they had no children by then.
I am Antonio Main Albert, the eldest of four sons of my mother, Petronila Main, and Vicente Albert. So I'm a direct descendant of Lolo Mariano, our grandfather, and my father, Vicente, was the youngest of the clan. I'm sure you all know that Tio Pepe was the oldest one, and he was the patriarch of the family, of course. And then Alejandro. Tio Alejandro was under Secretary of Public Instructions for a long, long time. I can't, from as far as I can remember, 1923. I had three other brothers. My three brothers are Jose, who married Rosalia Riva, then Luis, who is already dead, and Enrique, my youngest brother. And Enrique was the gifted man of the family. He could play on the piano, but he never learned or studied formally music. And he was so gifted that he would sculpture. He could paint.
To wrap up these proceedings, we would like to let you know that we are very proud of our ancestors who made names for themselves during the American government and the Commonwealth government, as Dr. Jose Albert, who was a very good pediatrician. In fact, he was the pediatrician. And Alejandro Albert, who was a doctor of pharmacy. In fact, he was the founder of Manila College of Pharmacy and Dentistry. And he was the Undersecretary of Public Instructions. I know for a fact when I was a kid, he used to use number 4 in his license plate. Number 1 was Governor Murphy. Number 2 was Quezon as President of the Senate. Number 3 was Osmeña. Number 4 was Lolo Ando. Of course, my father was a Justice of the Court of Appeals. I had a brother who was Vice Mayor of Quezon City, that's Charlie, and Toddy was Congressman of Manila. Now, Vicente Albert also was a judge. He was a long time in the Supreme Court, and he ended up being a judge. I hope this visual presentation has helped each and every one of you to trace your roots as far back anyway as the first Mariano Albert, who was married to Ruperta Mayoralgo.
Hi. It's good to be here. First of all, it's my first vacation in 2 years. And we had one reunion in Timmy Hill's house, all the cousins. And we were hoping to one day get everybody together. But now I'm here. I guess I'm one of the few lucky enough to have a husband who was so ready to say yes when Bobong said, come on, let her go home. So I'm here, and on behalf of everybody there, good to see you.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the people behind the scenes who helped to organize this affair. But most especially, we would like to thank Faces and Doña Nenas and Creative Arts for the work that they have put into this video. Also, we would like to thank the man behind the scenes who made all of this possible, our cousin Bobong Velez. On behalf of the Albert clan, this is Ditas, and I'd like to bid you a good day.